Hello, hello, blissful parents. Michelle Abraham, your host here today. I am joined by a special guest today. It's a dear friend of mine, Monica Ramirez. She is a podcaster of the podcast Soul Talks, and she is a warrior of love. There's so many other amazing things about Monica, but let me first say hi before I share all those wonderful things with you. How are you doing, Monica?
Hi, Michelle. Thank you for having me.
Of course, my pleasure to have you on here. I think you've got such a great, unique experience here. And today we really wanted to dive in and talk about how we can help our kids navigate when when the parents are getting divorced. And Monica, let me just tell our audience a little bit more about you, Monica. You have such a diverse background in so many different things, but I'm just going to quickly share a few things about her. So Monica is creative, passionate, and deeply connected. She's the warrior of love. When she was born, she was open with her gifts and dedicated her life to unearth them. She's healed herself from lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, depression, and she understands that it's a part of her teaching to help others do the same. She is an artist of authenticity, which means that she's an artist in a traditional sense, but she also teaches people how to master the art of love. She's a transformational belief coach and helps others go from confusion to confidence to design the life of their dreams and have the freedom to be empowered to love themselves. And doesn't it always come back to love of self, right? It's all about love and the love that we give ourselves. So thank you for joining us today, Monica.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me and for having this pleasure to have this conversation that I believe is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I asked you about, there were so many different topics that we could cover with you because you have such a background helps people with so many different things. One of the topics that came up was divorce with kids. So why are you passionate about that topic?
Well, I've been married 4 times, divorced 4 times,
Mm-hmm.
and I have 4 kids. And it was different when I was obviously younger, when I was 21 and I divorced the first time and I had 2 kids. And that time I wish I had the knowledge that I have now. So I do the less mistakes that I did.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the last one, she had a better luck because I had all this knowledge that I have now. And
Mm-hmm.
and for her, it was way easier the transition
Mm-hmm.
of my divorce than my first kids when I did not have the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And that now I talk with many of the parents that they're getting divorced and they have that fight. They feel that the ex-husband has to be the enemy and they try to create the enemy and the division in their kids
Mm-hmm.
when they're getting the divorce. And that is going to create a lot of trauma for the kids growing up. And that's what they're going to bring later on in their lives.
Yeah, of course, because now you're talking negatively about someone that they love. And so now they're like, what? That must cause a lot of confusion for the kids for sure. So what were some of the main things that you kind of discovered after your first time getting divorced and some mistakes that you made maybe around your kids the first time that then now you've changed for the last time you did it?
Yes. Well, when I divorced the first time, I was angry. I was 21. I was angry with the world and angry with him, and I wanted to destroy him. And instead of destroying him, because he just continued living his life, obviously. But I was stuck in that anger, and I put it in my kids that they have to hate it, his dad. And even if, thank God, I sustained some of the things that I should not talk with them, but the damage was already done. And because he was also so afraid of me on that conflict, he never came back to see his kids. We became enemies. And that communication that my kids were needing the father figure, they didn't have because we became enemies. And that was a big, big mistake that I did. And many parents do when they divorce because they want to destroy the other one.
Right. Yeah. And then it robs the kids later on of that relationship. And the parents obviously too, then the parents not having able to have a relationship later on with their kids too, kind of like after the dust settles, I've seen that happen many times before.
Yes, me too. Yes, because the parents think that trying to destroy him, that will make them even feel better. It's not gonna make you feel better becoming the enemy of your ex-husband or your
Mhm.
ex-wife. It's gonna actually destroy their kids because in the future that's what they're gonna think that that's how the relationships work.
Right.
And they're gonna go into the people pleasing part. I have to please my mother when I'm with her. I have to please my father when I'm with them. So they start lying to themselves and they don't even know what is real anymore or what
Mhm.
they really feel. When they become teenagers, that's when we have a bigger problem because they feel like I don't want to please any of them.
Mhm.
And that's when we have the real problem.
Mhm. My goodness. Yeah. I mean, we cannot turn time back and we cannot do things right all the time. And I think our parents try their best with the knowledge and the experience they have at the time. If you were to turn back time to your 21-year-old self, what were some things that you would say to yourself?
First of all, it's like, okay, you can be together, just let it go, uh,
Mhm.
start making yourself happy. Don't forget about
Yourself
he's
happy. Yeah,
happy or
that's a
not.
big one.
Just focus on you.
Mm-hmm.
And do not try to separate that relationship they had with them. Even if he's talking bad about me,
Mm-hmm.
don't even focus on that. Just be yourself. At the time, everything, all the truths are always going to come out. So
Mm-hmm.
you don't need to prove them how good mother you are or how bad father he is or vice versa.
Right.
Because it's a game. It's a game of egos. That in that game of egos, we're destroying our kids.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even realize because we're so angry.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would tell to myself if I had the opportunity.
Yeah, yeah, that's huge. Yeah, it's interesting. When I feel like when you're in the fire, so many things can happen and so many things change. Like I've watched my brother go through a divorce, about 10 years ago, but now him and his ex are like very good friends. They co-parent very well together. Their son goes back and forth houses, no problem. No one ever says anything bad about each other. It's a really good relationship, and they can actually sit at the sports field and watch a game together and really support their son together as co-parents. But that wasn't overnight. That took a bit of time. So what would you say to parents that are kind of like in that fiery stage right now, to kind of like know to help them through that fiery stage without destroying it so much?
Yeah, well, now my last relationship, we're very good friends. And
Mm-hmm.
it's that. And what I would tell the parents is remember that it's a game of ego. That someone has to be the wrong one and someone has to be the good one. And for a reason, both of you divorced is because you were not anymore complementing each other for any reason. I don't care
Mm-hmm.
who was the fault or no, it was not the fault. The thing it is, what's important is you have to put attention. What is the best thing for your kid?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the one that you decided to bring into this life, and that's the one you're harming because your ego is not letting you actually put attention to your kid.
Mm-hmm.
Making someone hates someone, it doesn't matter it's for politics or it's for religion or it's for education or it's for whatever it is. It is you're destroying someone that you really love. That is your
Mm-hmm.
kid. And that's something that you have to put attention is trying to talk bad about the dad or trying to, and you gotta put attention also how you're making your son or daughter please you, so make you happy and think they see your side. You're dividing your kid. And when he grows older, an adult, forget about teenager, when he becomes adult, he's going to be a people pleaser too again. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to be happy at the same time because he doesn't know how to be happy because your work as a parent have failed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that might be hard for some parents to hear. But, I think thinking about our parents in our audience, they have school age kids right now. So the kids are fairly young. Do you suggest, like, what's your suggestion around like talking to your kids about what's going on? Like, what do you say and what do you not say? Like, what are the boundaries around the conversations about what's happening between mom and dad?
Well, when my ex-husband and me, we divorced, it was about close to 5 years ago. And we sit down, actually, it was way more civilized than my first time.
Hmm.
And we sit down and tell her, okay, it is time that we need to, we're going to get separated because we are not compatible anymore.
Mhm.
And like, obviously, they're going to ask, and what things are not compatible. Let them speak. Let them say, okay, we're not compatible because of this and this and this. And given the explanations, talk to them like an adults. They're not kids that they're not thinking, or not because they're little, they don't understand what is happening.
Right.
They
And the
just,
littler ones will think it's them. That's the problem, right? Yeah.
yes. And they're going to start guilting themselves. I was not
Mhm.
good enough. I was not worthy enough. I did not deserve to have parents. Because other kids also at school, they're passing through the same thing, are going to tell them the same story. So remove the guilt and the shame from the kid that they don't have to carry
Mhm.
anymore and talk to them as an adult. They will understand. Even a 3-year old will understand
Mhm.
if you talk to them as an intelligent being.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the most important things is to not make the kids feel like they had any part in it. Like that was not their fault and it's not nothing that they did or said or could ever change. That's not nothing to do with them.
But before they sit down and have that conversation with a kid, both of them need to talk with each other and say, I am not going to attack the other one in front of the kid. I'm
Hmm.
just gonna say, what is the difference? Why we can be together without attacking? Try to control your ego in that moment, because
Hmm.
or else the kid is gonna get only the aggression. And he's not gonna understand what happened.
Hmm.
To remove your ego, sitting down your ego somewhere else in the house, you can talk heart to heart. Why it didn't work? And that is normal.
Hmm.
Some people change, we all change, and
Right.
relationship breaks. But the kid doesn't have to be breaking with the mom of that.
Right. Yeah, and I think just being open and honest with your kids goes a long way. I mean, they're not stupid. They can hear the fighting. They know something's going on. And actually, probably to some kids, it's a bit of a relief to hear that you've come to a decision to separate and go separate ways. That is not going to be as stressful or as bad. And I've seen other divorces and between family and friends and things that have gone on very badly where the other parent talks badly about the other one and the kids then get caught in the middle and the kids then start behaving differently for one parent or the other because of what they've heard or said, and it gets messy, and it gets, unfortunately, the kids are the ones that lose out.
And not only that, it's also the when the egos start coming into play in the divorced parents, who's gonna buy them that toy? Who's gonna buy them the other toy? And I can buy you better toys. So the kid obviously is gonna please more the parent that is gonna give more money or more or better toys or whatever it is, and the other parent that is barely surviving it, trying just to pay the bills. But in reality, you're not harming the other parent, you're harming your kid because they know they have to just please you better to get the
Mhm.
better toy, and but at the end, that's how it's gonna become the adult life. They just have to please more their boss or their mate in the future or their friends or whoever it is to get something more. And when they don't get it, they're gonna go into a deep depression, and that's what you caused because you bought the more expensive toy.
Mm. Interesting. Yeah. All those little actions that we don't think are anything when they're little add up to some bigger consequences when they get older, don't they?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. So, Monica, for parents right now that are struggling, what's some advice that you can give to them to help them kind of through the next little while?
I know divorce is hard. I know it is painful for everybody. For all the parts involved, including the kids, of course, it is very, very difficult. So the best that you can do it is try really to remove your ego. And your ego is the one that's pushing you all the thoughts. Oh, you have to destroy it. Oh, he did this or she did that or whatever. Try to remove your ego from there and think,
Mhm.
what is the best I can do for my kid? How I can help them out? Because if I do, every act has consequences. If
Mhm.
whatever you talk bad about your ex-mate to your kid is going to project it later on in life with their future relationships that he have. So
Yeah.
just think in every time that you talk, how you express about your mate, how your kid is going to be projected later on in life. So you can detain yourself and just wish them well. For a reason, the divorce is it happened. just wish them well because that's what you want to they wish for you.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, gosh, that goes back to the playground rules of do unto others as you want them to do to you, right? Seems
Exactly.
seems silly, but it's true, right? Just things same just the back to the basics of being kind to each other. And no, like I mean, you don't want the other person to you don't want to say unkind things. They're the ones raising your kids half of the time too, usually. So you want to wish them well and happiness because otherwise your kids will be affected that way too, right? Yeah, it's amazing. So Monica,
Yes. More happy they
yeah.
are, more happy your mate it is, more happy your kid is gonna be. And
Hmm.
it's great when they know they are gonna have two moms or two dads because each other move on. Just think on that. You wish them well. So like that you can be happy because they're not gonna be bothering your kid or talking too bad about yourself if
Mm-hmm.
you also don't do that. Because the kid is gonna repeat whatever you say to the other parent. And the other parent is gonna react. Every action has reaction. So thinking all those things before you talk with your kids about your ex-husband or your ex-wife.
Right. And I think probably one of the most important things is self-care too during this time, right? Take care of yourself, take time for yourself, take time for grieving because you're losing a relationship. So that grief period too of losing something.
What I would tell, it was one of my clients, I would tell them before you make a choice or decision, just breathe. Take a
Mm,
deep breath before you even say something so angry, or if you are so angry you want to tell something to your kid, take a moment, breathe first before you respond, because then you're giving time how you're going to respond.
right. Yeah, that's such a great advice. And if you need some support or if your kids need some support, feel free to reach out to Monica. Monica, where can our audience find out more about you and what you're up to and all the other modalities and things that you do work with?
Yes, I am a NLP, BQH. I work one-on-one and I do therapies. And if you
Mm,
are passing through a hard time right now with your divorce, it doesn't have to come with me. Go with any coach or any therapist, and you need to speak with someone about it. So like that you can get out of your depression because it is very hard, like I mentioned. Divorce is not
mm,
easy. And it is a process that talking with someone will help you out. So like that, your kids will have a better future. And that is
mm,
important. It doesn't matter if with me or with someone else, but,
mm.
but do it. Take care of yourself. Love yourself.
And if you won't do it for yourself, do it for your kids. But you should do it for yourself. Right? Yeah. Monica, thank you so much for being with us today. I think you shed some light on, your past experiences and divorce and how we can help navigate so that our kids are thriving still and we're not killing our exes. So thank you so much for shedding your light on that. And you guys can find Monica at Monica Ramirez, warrioroflove.com, and we'll put that in the show notes too. Thanks so much, Monica. Have a wonderful day. Blissful parents, go out there and be blissful and enjoy your week. If you're having some trouble, reach out to Monica. She can help you out. And we'll see you next time.